Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV. I hope you guys are well on Friday evenings, just rolling up to 9 p.m. And there's not much as usual. It's another one of those days, but there's not a lot of Man City stuff to chat about. And so I thought, see what you guys come up with, whoever comes online tonight, and we can chat about that, as well as look at a couple of other, obviously non-City related matters, but we had the news today of the sad passing of Norman Hunter. So we'll reflect on a little bit on his career, what he's famous for. And, you know, if you grew up in the 60s and 70s, then you know how what a big figure he was in the game. Hi Zidane, Brad, and Aaron. Hope you are all very well. You're clutching at straws, Aaron. What you're clutching at straws for, mate? Tell us. I'm here to listen. I'm just going to stick this on Twitter. My computer's as slow as anything. I really do need to sit down and clean it up, but you know how it is. And I really need one of my lads to do it for me, I think. Let's just stick it out on Twitter. I'm not going to do much with it. Let's see what else who else is on. Yeah, and there's not a lot to do. Listen, mate, in all honesty, you're looking at least, obviously the government said another, let's talk about that to start with. It's going to be another 3 weeks minimum. That gets us to about the 7th of May. There's some people hoping that they'll start relaxing the lockdown by VE Day, by Bank Holiday Monday. Hi, Mohammed. Hope you're well. And it's not on, in my opinion. Solely my opinion. Unless we've got proper testing, enough testing to test people. And if you're letting people out into the streets again, going to work and all that sort of stuff, you've got to test them. And right now, we haven't even got enough tests for our NHS front line. The government will come out and say, yes, 5,000 police and some others can get tests. We're opening up this to them. And it's like, hang on. We've been in lockdown since the 23rd of March. We should have been in lockdown at least 2 weeks earlier than that. And now you're allowing the police to get tested on the 17th of April. That's 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks after we actually went on official lockdown. And now you're saying that these people should have been tested. I think there's 56 NHS professionals have died so far in the space of a month or less. 56 doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals, people who work at hospitals have died. And we don't know. We don't know how many may not have died if they had been tested, or the people they were treating, or they had the proper PPE and all that sort of stuff. So getting out in 3 weeks, I can't honestly see it. Government has said today, I think it was Alok Sharma said, that don't book a summer holiday. Basically, you know, the feeling is we haven't got the tests, we haven't got the tracing, the contact tracing in place, we haven't got anything in place. See, in all seriousness, in all honesty, to be able to do that. And if we come out too soon without all that stuff in place, without the vaccines, you know, miles away, it's over the horizon, without any drugs to suppress it or deal with it, then we're just going to have another wave. And that's what's just going to happen. We're going to have wave upon wave upon wave until we get herd immunity, or until a vaccine is like, it's just a bizarre way to do things. We are now standing at least 16,000 dead, possibly up to 20,000 if you include the care sector, which numbers are lagging. We just don't know. It's crazy. It's a crazy situation to think we can get out in 3 weeks. I mean, if you look at some countries, I think Germany, they're letting kids go back to school in primary schools and in who've got exams, because that's on the 4th of May. But they're miles ahead of us. They're miles ahead of us. Austria, I think, are starting to relax. Greece are looking at. Other countries can, because they're in a much better state in terms of the control of this virus, because they're not having the same level of deaths as we are. They're testing, they're quarantining, they're locking down early and hard. And we locked down late and soft. Yeah. So it's a very tough situation. So I can't believe, in France, for instance, I think they said no festivals till at least the middle of July. Maybe they're hoping for Bastille Day on the 14th of July. So there's not a lot's going to happen. Going on holiday in June, July, I'm not so sure. We're looking at, I think, August possibly. But that's really going to depend on the government. They might just say, "Oh, let's go for it." They might tell us we're ready and we're not. So let's look at some of this. So it is boring, but let's talk football. We have the Football League, so that's everybody under the Premier League, so that Championship, League 1, League 2. They said their aim is to finish the season, complete the season as soon as they are allowed to. Apparently, the Premier League had a meeting today, and I think they've, rather than come out once again and give a tentative date that they'll look at it again, or they're just going to leave, because all they're getting is brickbats, deserved brickbats. So they're getting a lot of stuff thrown at them simply because they deserve it, because now it's going to happen. And it's just, yes, I understand their businesses and they're interested in the money side of things, and they want to, they've got to make their money. But I don't like. No one really likes what's going on. So let's look at what else you guys are saying. Hi, I hope you're well. So yeah, Premier League have said basically they're talking some ridiculous stuff. There's no point, going into too much detail. I'll just mention it and move on. They're talking about apparently players training, two players train together, get changed in the car so they don't mix with other people, and they're allowed to train for 3 weeks. Once the government says yes, lockdown is over, they can train for 3 weeks and then carry on the season. Let's forget about it. Whatever ever happens, it's not something that really needs, in my opinion, to be discussed until the government turn around and say we're thinking of relaxing the lockdown, and it'll be in 3 weeks' time. Then you can start preparing. And then the game will just walk away from the game, and they're walking away now. People don't want anything to do with it. More and more people will. Lautaro Martinez to Zidane, nobody knows. We don't even know. Look at it this way: we don't know when the season's going to finish. Okay, we might not play football again in this country till September. I said this back early days, early March. I said we might not play for 6 months. We might not even play for 12 months. We don't know what the scale of this disaster is, this tragedy. So we don't know when we're going to start playing football again. So we're just going to have to wait and see. So we don't. If you don't even know when you're going to continue football, you don't know when your transfer window is going to happen. That's all up in the air. Clubs are going to have potentially some of them, a lot less money than before. Things are going to change. We look at this global recession. Things are going to change. So people can't go around spending 100 million quid on players. Maybe. So Lautaro Martinez looks like an interesting talent. Honestly, no idea. Yann Valery. I've not heard about anything about Yann Valery yet. He's a right back, French kid. He's 21? 21 years old. He's born not far from where we used to live. He's plays for Southampton. Not heard anything about him yet. I've not seen anything. I heard. I'm just trying to have a look at now, and I can't see anything about Yann Valery. So there's not really much I can say about Yann Valery. I've not seen him in the news at all. I'm having a quick look. I mean, Yann Valery was born in Champigny-sur-Marne, and I lived in Val-de-Marne, so that's the valley of the Marne River. That's the area we used to live. So he couldn't have been more than 20 minutes away. Reading that he had a fever, but That was weeks ago. So I really don't know. Maybe you can clue me up, Edward, on that. There's too many games that are left and not come to. Yeah, look, the thing is, there's 92 league games left. I mean, let's look at the Premier League first. 92 league games, and FA Cup has got. We're in the quarterfinals, so you've got 7 games for the FA Cup, so 99 games to squeeze in. I think if they push forward with the Premier League, I think they'll push forward with the FA Cup. But then you've also got the Champions League, and however they decide to do that, they're talking about the final on the 29th of August. Bought me tickets already in Istanbul. Got me flights. Knew they'd be cheap. Got them, 5-star hotel. Got it all sorted for the 29th of August. So if the Champions League finals then, let's say City there, for argument's sake, or we go deep in that competition, that'll be in August. Now, so we've got to fit that in as well. We're not going to get out of this. They're not going to play football, I suspect, till at least June, July at the earliest. I mean, if you say we give ourselves 6 weeks to get out of lockdown, okay, that's a month and a half. That's June already. Give them 4 weeks to get fit. So you're going to be playing in July. You're going to squeeze all the games in July and then squeeze the Champions League games in as well. And it's just madness. It really is. Yeah, Aaron, there's a lot. Well, no, they could play behind the closed doors if the government says you can have sporting events again. Yeah, they don't need permission. But that, they have to get the lockdown has to go first. I don't think so, Aaron. The point is, I've always been of the firm belief that you need, I think, 14 clubs would have to vote to cancel the season. We did these numbers and said we might not get 14 teams to go for it. If they go for a consensus, basically, not consensus, but if a majority, so there's 20 teams, if 11 say one thing, then we'll go with that. There's a chance. But there's some idiots out there, I think, who are a bit too greedy, where they'll say, no, we want to continue the season. And I can understand why some of them, Liverpool would want to continue the season rather than stop it, or rather than annul it. United want to continue the season. Sheffield United want to continue the season. Villa want to continue the season. Norwich want to continue the season. Sorry, I'll go back. If Norwich were offered, would you plunge the results and start again in the Premier League next season, or continue? Norwich say, we want to stop. Same with Villa. Villa do not want to have it stopped and the result of the position stand like now. They either want to continue or, preferably, go in the Premier League next season and no relegation, stuff like that. Then they say, yep, let's cancel it. Let's go with that. So I think you'd get enough that would go for it. Spurs, they'd say, let's stop the season. Let's cancel it because they get Champions League next season. I think that's wrong. I think potentially it sounds a bit daft, but what you could do is just say, look, Sheffield United, Man United, Chelsea, and Spurs go into a hat. Now, Leicester would jump up. But this is the problem. Once you start doing that, Leicester say, hang on, we're second. We have a very good chance of getting Champions League. We want that Champions League. It's worth 70 million quid to us. If you pay us the 70 million quid, fine. Yeah, that might be how they do it. They'll have to pay Leicester 70 million quid. And then they'll say, well, what about the prestige we're missing out on? That's worth 30 million. So what if they have to pay Leicester 100 million quid? Yeah, to do that. What they're going to pay the championship clubs if they don't let them come up? It gets too complicated. The easiest and fairest way is to finish the season at some point. And people will still argue that it's wrong for this reason, it's wrong for that reason, but it's still the easiest and the fairest. Let's have a look. Do I rate Pepe? When he was in France, I think we were talking about him last season and said, he's got to do it a bit more. And I love some of his skill. It's unbelievable. His fast feet, his pace. I love that side of the stuff. But he's been found out a bit at Arsenal. He's lost I feel he's lost a lot of confidence in his own ability. Now, if he can get that back and get that zip that he had, was it at Lille, then he could still be a good player. But I like his touch. I like some of his control. I like some of his tricks. I mean, he might not be the best of players, but I love his tricks. But he's still young enough to get that first season gremlins out of his system in the Premier League, and maybe next season they'll be much better. Aaron, it will eat into the transition. Yeah, look, it's a mess, Aaron, but I think they'll end up doing what's best for money. It's not really for footy. It's not really. I'm gonna have to. I can't. It's not really. I'm gonna have to. Sorry. I have to remove it, mate. I can't have that on the live chat. You know, it's not nice if that's true, but can't have that on the live chat, buddy. Well, we don't know, so I'm not going to go into that sort of conjecture. That's nobody's ever seen anything like this. It's the FA rulebook and contractual agreements are robust enough for this. Look, we just don't know. It's obviously it's a new situation. Jesus, Zidane, I'd have him on the wing. I'd have him on the wing. Left. I said so months ago. I'd have had him on the left wing instead of Sterling because he's not been at it. So what is out there in Cityland? The thing is, if you go and look at stuff, newspapers and media, there's nothing, and you've got this ridiculous situation, okay, where you've got football sites who might talk. They get the comments from 2 or 3 City fans, and then they put something dramatic, a dramatic headline. Sane really done us dirty. Many Man City fans react as transfer news emerges. You get half a dozen people slagging him off, and they'll say many City fans or whatever, as if that forms the consensus of opinion at City. Spurs hacked our account. Some Man City fans can't believe what club have posted. Another one, sack Cheeky immediately. Offer him to Madrid. Many MCFC fans fume over terrible news. And these are, football websites. They've got nothing else to talk about. Why am I not surprised? Isn't happy at City. Many Man City fans react to remarks on 25. They've got nothing else to say. So it's not even worth, there's really nothing there to talk about. Let's talk about some City news first. Not City news, but on this day, I haven't got a thing for you today. Okay. Thank you for Zohaib Khan for, what's the word? Subscribing on YouTube. Okay. Let's talk about, look, on this day in history. Let's go back. Let's go back to some better times and then go to some bad times. 2011, Vincent Kompany and Carlos Tevez named in the PFA Team of the Year at the award ceremony on this day, 17th of April, 2011. In 2013, a late Carlos Tevez goal helped City to beat Wigan 1-0 and to keep our slim chances of the title alive. Very slim. We didn't win. I think you know that. It's not really. Don't need to give a spoiler alert. And last year, I've got to mention it, the VAR controversy in the Champions League quarter-final as Spurs knocked out City. So that was a year ago. So now we're going to have a quick look at Norman Hunter. Let's have a look. Lowest end to a sport game I've ever seen. Yeah, that was gutting. Why did it? I don't know. I mean, it's on this day, but they could have shown the 1-0 win against Wigan in 2013 before. Did we go ahead to lose him in the FA Cup? Maybe. Okay. What picks? It's nice to pick something where you've done well rather than when you've been gutted. But the thing is, the new people would watch as well. So Norman Hunter, well, look, you can see a picture there. Infamous or famous, that's how you want to look at it. Well-known fight he had with our own Franny Lee. Although he wasn't our own at that time. He was at Derby. We'd bumped him off to Derby He was very unhappy with us for that, but that's a different story. And so he had a fight with Norman Hunter, did Al Franny. And Norman Hunter, if you grew up in the 60s and 70s, the name, it's synonymous with that time, with that period. Now, Norman Hunter started his career at Leeds United. He was born up in the northeast in Gateshead, in County Durham, and he started his career at Leeds, where he went as a youth in 1959. So he was 16 years old when he went there, 15 or 16. And he stayed there from 59 to 76. Now, anybody quick to add up can say that's 17 years. He was there a long time. And pretty much in the first team for 14, 15 seasons. He made over 500 appearances for Leeds. And just going through some where he went after that. Then he went for 3 years to Bristol. I think they flogged him for 40 grand. I was reading earlier on today. To Bristol City. He went there for 3 years, played over 100 games. And then he came back up to Yorkshire, to South Yorkshire this time, rather than West Yorkshire. Leeds. He came to Barnsley. And he was at Barnsley for 3 seasons as a player. And then he converted to player manager. And then he stopped playing and he was just a manager. So he came to Barnsley in 79. I think he converted a season later to player manager when, I can't remember his name, was it Alan Clark? Went from Barnsley to manage at Leeds. Just trying to remember if I get that name right. It would really, really embarrassing if you get that wrong, but it was Alan Clark. I was right. And so he became the Barnsley manager and he stayed there. As I said, he carried on playing for a season or two and then he stopped. And he was Barnsley manager. They did well the first season. I think they got promoted. Finished second, got promoted up, but he struggled. And which normally happens before you get fired. He got the boot from there. He went to Rotherham for 2 or 3 seasons, and then to Bradford, I think, for just the 1 season as their manager before, I think, pretty much retiring at the age. How old was he? He was born in 43, so he was only 47. And like, he's iconic. I don't know. But he was obviously he's part of the England World Cup winning squad in 1966. Although he didn't play, he got his medal in 2000. And the first time we had the PFA Players Player of the Year award in 1974, he won it. He was if you don't know where he played, he was a centre. He mostly played, I think, centre half, sometimes as a DN, defensive midfielder. He was called Bite Your Legs Hunter. And wow, I'm just looking. It says he played 726 games for Leeds, scoring 21 goals. So I think it was over 500 league games. Wow, that's a lot. And he won stuff, besides being pretty much no-nonsense kind of defender. He won plenty in his playing career. He won the league title with Leeds, I think, according to Wikipedia. I'm just having a look there because these are not records that roll off my tongue at Leeds simply because I wasn't around and they were not my club. But according to this, he won the league title in 69 and 74. Got second division thing in 64. It's funny, in those days you could get teams that would come up and 2 or 3 seasons later they could win the title. So they came up in 64, 5 years later they were champions. City and United I think did the same in the 60s as well. He won the League Cup in 68, a Charity Shield as well, Intercity's First Cup a couple of times, and Leeds, if you might not remember, they were beaten 2-0 by, was it Real Madrid? Or was it by Munich? Was it by Munich in the European Cup in 1975 in the final? So, he was if you want to know something about history, maybe go and have a look up at Norman Hunter and see what it's about. I think some people had some good words for him, some people some not so good words. But as a footballer, he's got to be up there. I mean, obviously, he was getting to the end of his career when I was really getting into footy in the mid 70s to late 70s. Obviously playing football since as long as I can remember, since the early 70s, but going to games, and I was really getting into football in the mid 70s 73, 74, 75, that sort of stuff. And Norman Hunter was still top dog, as I said, 74. He won the league title and the Player of the Year award, PFA Player of the Year. So that's very, very good. And I don't believe that Aaron Mbappe to Newcastle, I don't believe it, unless they're paying him £2 million a week. I mean, you can see people doing it. Why do some players who are still very, very good and still young enough, why do they go to China? They're going there for the money. So, hey, if someone offered, if Newcastle offered Mbappe £2 million a week, who should say? I mean, why not? Why? You know, he might say, I'll do it for a season or two. Why not? You're getting that level of money. It's enough to turn even my head. I'd turn my head as well to go up to Newcastle for that sort of wedge. So, guys, I think that's it. Unless you've got something else to ask me or something else to say, I think we are going to hit that one on the head for the Friday evening. Guys, if the weather's nice this weekend, stay at home, look after yourselves, behave, be safe, and, we'll tough it out, whether alone or together or whatever, we'll tough it out. Guys, take it easy, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.